Consecutive season in the Champions Cup, and they've never had a home match in better shape. They've had a superb September, 4 domestic wins out of 4 and 23 goals scored. And in Europe, Stephen Baxter's equaliser in Norway a fortnight ago, that's transferred all the pressure onto Lillestrøm. This is the same 11 as for the 6-0 defeat of Distillery at the weekend. 2 changes then from the starting lineup in Norway. Billy Murray in for Jim Grattan and Martin McGahey for Duncan MacLeod. Lillestrøm, they're much less experienced in the Champions Cup, only 6 previous attempts ever, and only the 1 success against Linfield in 1978. Tom Lund was a player then, today he's the manager, and he'd freely admit it's of a side which doesn't compare favourably with 10 years ago. Lillestrøm are on course for their worst finish since promotion 14 years ago. In fact, relegation is still a possibility, with 2 matches to go in the league season. A fair crowd here this evening, although the bottom tier of the North Stand is empty. They know Linfield have a great chance to go through to the second round of the European Cup for only the 3rd time in their history. Having said that, of course, the away goal is a slender advantage to hold. It's unlikely to be enough, but at least it will offer them the comparative freedom of not having to go hell for leather for a goal in the first few minutes. They've got a free kick, and number 4 there is Lee Doherty, and he's leaving it for Alan Dornan and Lindsay McKeown, wearing 6 this evening, former captain of the side, of course, and one of the old stagers in the Linfield side. Headed by Jeffrey. And the Lillestrøm goalkeeper tonight, Arne Amundsen, is the only survivor from the team which knocked Linfield out of the European Cup in 1978. It's Jeffrey. Schiller for Lillestrøm. Brian Kennedy, number 3, another new face in the Linfield side this season. Burrows, Kennedy. Brian Kennedy there scored his first goal for the club on Saturday. Got number 4 against the Whites, against Distillery at New Grosvenor. It's Doherty. Alan Dornan's throw. Lee Doherty. Gunnar Halle. Free kick to Linfield, and the referee wants a word with Gunnar Halle. Halle wearing number 5, but he's actually the left back. The centre back's wearing 4 and 3. There's McGahey, too long for him. Burrows has been allowed to get to it, and Baxter almost in there. Clearance from Martin Olsen. 5 minutes gone, and Linfield get their first corner of the match. Really, Burrows shouldn't have been allowed to get to that, all the way across goal. It's his corner, and again, not an overconfident display by the defence. It's Bjarne Sognes. And Dunlop, right to the edge of his box, and took it with his knee. Bounced awkwardly for him, he needed another yard to get it into the box. It's Burrows. Jeffrey. It's Richardson. Hallberg against McKeown. Kennedy. Davies losing possession to Erlandson, and now a chance at Sognes. Great tackle by David Jeffrey. Very timely tackle from David Jeffrey. Baxter for Murray. Good form again this season, Billy Murray, 32 years of age. Hallberg looking for Richardson. And Davies in, Gareth Davies. Flags up, referee playing on. Yeah, Linfield's throw in. Lee Doherty, number 4. Jeffrey's up there. Baxter was behind him. Here's Murray. Well, he was bursting for a goal on Saturday at New Grosvenor as well, Billy Murray, and he eventually got one. A rare treat indeed, because that time he scored it with his head. This time it was the more traditional approach. Here's the build-up, just too long for Jeffrey, and then onto the left foot, the better peg of Billy Murray's. Alan Dornan. Billy Murray, again, losing out in the air to Halla, but Linfield have the throw-in. Midway through the first half, still scoreless. It's Doherty's throw. That was Halla. And this is Peterson. Sogness forward through the middle. Hallberg to his left. Appeals from McKeown for offside, not granted. This is Hallberg. Now the support's arriving, but the cross ineffective. Burrows, McKeown, Billy Murray. Hallberg. Halla. Dierstadt. Schiller. And Sogness the target. Dornan it was who got there. Bringing it up again through Erlander. And now McKeown. Alan Dornan still down. Injured after that challenge was Sogness. Back to his feet now, and that's Kennedy forward. Baxter. Peterson intercepting. Sogness against Jeffrey. And McKeown tidying up. Alan Dornan being escorted from the field. Clash of heads, obviously, with Bjarne Sogness. So Linfield temporarily down to 10. This is Schiller. He's past McKeown. Sogness outside him. And a gap here. And the goal goes in from Finn Larson. So the cross coming in from Sogness. The clear header. And this is the moment that changes the whole complexion of the match then. The deep cross. Linfield hadn't really had time to reorganise. Alan Dornan not there. Although to be fair to Lillestrøm, a good header. Alan Dornan ready to come back off the field for 1 minute, and he finds the whole complexion of the match changed, because Linfield are suddenly 1 goal behind. And as we emphasise the importance of the away goal that Linfield scored in Norway, should be emphasised that Linfield now find themselves with that away goal advantage ruled out. Falls for Hallberg. Sogness is in the middle. So too, though, was Alan Dornan. Coming up to the half hour, Linfield have certainly lost the initiative. And a different picture from a few minutes into the match. Roy Coyle now aware that one of the best chances they've had for making the second round of this competition could be slipping away. George the build of stronger stuff, but I wonder if he's going to pay for that. It looks like it's going to be an indirect free kick inside the penalty box. George Dunlop very strong in his defence here, taking the ball. That was all fair enough, but it was this gesture after the play. Didn't punch him, but he did push him away. So 10 back for Linfield, 9 in the wall. and 5 over the ball at the moment for Lillestrøm. Erlandsen it will be, off the wall, and a corner to Lillestrøm. So Linfield survived for the moment, but that could have cost them that gesture from George Dunlop. Five forward, that was Dornan away. Came off Doherty, so it's not clear, and Richardson trying the shot. It's Billy Murray. Doherty. It's Baxter. Don't think he realised it was his ball. Against Martin Olsen. Linfield have the throw. It's Murray's flick for McGackie. Great equaliser. Classic Linfield. Martin McGackie, one of the great centre forwards, who scored his 200th for the club on Saturday. Set up by Billy Murray. Something of an evergreen these days, 32 years old and back in the side. The throw in from Alan Dornan, left foot flicked by Billy Murray, header by McGackie, 1-1. 41st minute of the match then, as Murray just tees it up there, and in comes McGackie to beat Schiller to the header. That's a bit more like him. Quiet and pensive. Tackle by McKeown, bit more bite to the Linfield display now that they've got the equaliser. This is Burrows. He has Kennedy behind him if he needs him. We'll come to Doherty. Baxter. He'd seen Murray, but Murray had drifted wide. Peterson dispossessed by Doherty. Now Murray gets his chance. McGackie. Hallberg is onside. Hallberg has put them right back in the lead. Desperate defence by Linfield, and with a minute and a half to go to half time, it all changes again. Sten Glenn Hallberg, absolutely clear as Linfield were pressing forward on the euphoria of the equaliser. Good finish. Hallberg then, a member of the Norwegian Olympic squad, puts Lillestrøm back ahead, 2-1 and 3-2 in aggregate. And that's their second away goal, and let's emphasise, Linfield now need to score 2 more if they want to go through. Sognus has a mind to make them score 3. To Linfield into the last 30 seconds of the first half. So 5-man wall with Schiller hanging off it. It's Billy Murray. Not that far away, but I think it would be fair to say the goalkeeper had that one covered. Jeffrey. Baxter. Peterson. And no time for Baxter to win it back. That's the half-time whistle.
So things not at all going according to script at Windsor Park. Jackie Cummings, let me put it to you. Linfield really did need just the goalless draw, but from what we've seen there, it seems maybe they got the tactics slightly wrong. They certainly seem to go at the Norwegians.
Well, perhaps a little at the early stage, but it's always a very tricky one, you see. 1 goal away from home. If you can hold on to that, then you're through. But then what do? You're playing on your home pitch, and if the other team gets a goal, then, as they did, then you have to come back and get 2 more.
But it wasn't a question of the Linfield defence being very much stretched with that goal, because it was a very long, a very deep cross. It cleared 2 of the Linfield players, and the Norwegian Larsen come in behind them with a very powerful header.
Yeah, it was a marvellous header, and look how far out it was. It was 16 yards from the goals. You know, I'm sure George Dunlop was wondering why he didn't get to it. It was a great header, but the thing was that this fella came from the deep. He wasn't picked up. Sugnes, the captain, had pulled 3 Linfield players out towards the touchline. He got the cross in, and the Linfield defence was stretched at that point. In came the header. It was really a beautiful goal.
And briefly, a word about Martin McGackey's equaliser. That was a honey as well.
That was a smasher, wasn't it? And he's right on form. And Billy Murray takes a lot of credit here. The throw-in and his first-time cross. He didn't dally. In it went, and there was McGackey. Out-jumped the defender and into the net. Beautiful goal.
In a word, the second goal, the Norwegian second goal, was it offside?
Well, it's hard to see on the television picture because you don't see long enough. It was a long through ball. Now, it depends on when the man moved. He looked offside when he got the ball, but was he offside when the ball was kicked?
Well, let's see. They're 2-1 down at half-time, Linfield. They really need to score 2 goals to go through to the second round now. And, of course, they still need to keep Lillestrøm out. Let's return to the action, join the second half now. And Michael Nesbitt takes up the commentary. A big crowd at Windsor Park, but have they got enough vocal support perhaps to lift Linfield and get them back into this game? 2-1, remember, Mike Nesbitt, the commentator.
So the one thing that's now clear in this match is that the next 45 minutes will decide it. It can't be a draw now that Lillestrøm have the 2 away goals in the bag. And Linfield need a couple more to do what was nothing more than what was expected of them and make the second round for the 3rd time in their history. They've actually made the quarter-finals on one occasion in 1966 when they got through to play CSKA Sofia, Bulgaria, and only lost by the odd goal in 5. And then 3 seasons ago they beat Shamrock Rovers in the first round and went on to play a couple of great matches against Panathinaikos of Greece. Lost by the odd goal in 9 on that occasion. Now the referee not happy. Looks like it's a problem. Oh, it's a problem with a rock. I was going to say it was the watch, but much more serious than that. That's a fairly hefty implement. And that won't do Northern Irish football's cause much good, as it will inevitably find its way into the referee's report to UEFA. Throws for Jeffrey. Baxter couldn't quite get a turn in. Fair defence by Sugnes, who was back from his forward position. It's Larsen. Peterson. It's Davies. And the midfield are not doing the best of jobs. Back in the penalty area. Now Billy Murray. Kennedy's wide on the left. Chance to play it to him now. Kennedy's got 3 forward. Davies in closer support. And another missile has come onto the pitch inside the penalty box. Referee's letting play go on. It's been kicked off camera by Baxter. Jeffries has got a chase on. And now the linesman on the near side is flagging, and it's all going terribly wrong for Linfield. The referee's stopping it. Large vodka bottle. Lindsay McEwen trying to do his best, but I'm afraid the deed's done. In fact, 2 bottles there, you can see the referee, with now a 3rd implement being added. And some of the supporters in the railway stand jumping over. You can see them sitting there. They've jumped over that, some of them, to get that little bit nearer on the opening terracing. Well, of course, this is a very sad sight for Linfield Football Club and for the Irish League. So we're going to restart with a drop ball. And now there's a cameraman on the field of play. Press photographer. Well into the penalty box at the far end, the Lillestrøm end. This is Peterson. Ball was out of play. Taken along to the byline by Peterson. So 5 minutes on the watch, but probably not much more than 60 seconds of football in the second half. Haller. Doherty. Dornan. Free kick, but retaliation by Lee Doherty after he'd won the free kick from Gunnar Halle. And just at the moment, if anything can go wrong, it looks as if it is going wrong for Linfield. Although they're going to keep the free kick. Referee would have been entitled to reverse the decision after the retaliation from Lee Doherty. But Billy Murray didn't see that one coming. Dornan slipped. Hallberg's got it away, and there's McEwen in. Baxter. McGackie. Was it a handball? Yes, it was. Was it in the penalty box? No, it wasn't. Well, there wasn't too much in it. 8 minutes gone, and a chance. Billy Murray looking as if he'll have a go with his left foot. Lee Doherty's also there, and half a dozen on the far side. It's Murray off the wall. It was Davies, and now it's Alan Dornan. And that was an opportunity gone. Now Sognes against Davies, and again not as tidy as you might have hoped. Well, George Dunlop got into a bit of trouble in the first half, but that was a fair, if strong, soldier charge there. He was just protecting himself against Sognes. Davies, chase for Baxter. It's Dornan. The touches just aren't falling for Linfield. The timing's gone. The pattern's gone. They need to get it back, as they need 2 goals to get through, remember. This is better from Doherty. Looking for Baxter. Burrows. Touch for Murray. Better. Davies. No, bad ball. More promising build-up, though. Good work down the right by Lee Doherty. More patient around the box. Final pass from Davies, just letting them down. McGackie, that's a good touch. This is Burrows. 4 in the middle. And the midfield belonging to Linfield, Kennedy. And again, a bad cross. Jeffrey. Murray. Dornan. He's got a man free, which was Doherty. Now he's got space. Good shot, good save. Ball still in play. This is Billy Murray. Now it's gone for the corner. Alan Dornan tried the cross first of all, then he got the deflection. It fell to him on the right foot, dipping down. Good save by the keeper. Meantime, Gary McCartney's preparing to come on. 27 years of age, been at the club 7 years, Gary McCartney. It's Murray. Doherty. Strong run, free kick. Fouled by Erlander. Yellow card for number 7, Arne Erlander, who's the one full cap in this Lillestrøm side. 20 caps for Norway he has. And the substitution now to be made, and coming off is young Gareth Davies. So Gary McCartney, who glorifies under the label of a utility player, looks as if he's going into the midfield for the Blues. Number 14, Gary McCartney. Murray, lovely turn. Beautiful skills by Billy Murray. And that's a corner. Made by Billy Murray. Martin McGackie with the goalkeeper. David Jeffrey has made his way up again, and he started his run. Never got to him though. Is that another handball? No. This is Doherty. Good take by the keeper. 2 men on. Baxter. McGackie on for McCartney. That's nice stuff. And there's McGackie. 22 minutes gone in the second half. McGackie brings Linfield level for the second time in the match. And if anything, that's a better goal. Good move down the left. Good cross too. Good weight to beat those 2 defenders. And a simple enough task for the finish. McCartney, the substitute, just over the 2 defenders, and McCartney with a powerful header. Martin McGackie then with his second of the night, after celebrating his 200th for the club on Saturday. Offside against 3 players there. Free kick then to Linfield. McCartney again, or Dornan, Murray outside him. Go Billy all the way. Well, he made the most of it. It was always tight by the time he got his hands on the ball, or his feet on the ball, to be literal about it. Released by Alan Dornan, who did the right thing. He could have gone himself, but Dornan gave it to Murray. And he did his best to make something of that. Now here's Larsson. Larsson against Kennedy. Larsson still going. He finished well from a narrow angle. And that, you must say, is that. Coming up to the 35th minute of the second half. And another defensive error you've got to put this down to. Larsson controlling it there. Very narrow angle. McEwen did his best to get back, but it was too late. We've got Jim Grattan coming on for Linfield. We've got Frederick Hagg on for Lillestrøm. And we've got Brian Kennedy, the young left-back, going off for the Blues. And on comes Jim Grattan, as he's known because of his years in France. Played a few matches for the Blues last season, now rejoined them. And a substitute, as I say, for Lillestrøm. A midfielder forward he's labelled as, Frederick Hagg, 20 years of age. But I think Lillestrøm are probably finished with the attacking. Away by Olsen, only to Doherty. And Baxter can't get there. Offside against the skipper, Sogness. Well, the referee's played on. Sogness, that's finished it. But the linesman had his flag up. Well, that's a remarkable decision by the referee from where we are standing, which is very much in line with the incident. When that ball was played through, Sogness was offside. That was before that ball, in fact. But let's look at the finish, which was good. And that is certainly the last nail for Linfield. Coming up to 2.5 minutes of injury time played. That's Dornan forward. And Sid Burrows there with the sort of shot. It probably hit it harder in a practice match. In fact, no atmosphere whatsoever anymore at Windsor Park now. I think the referee, although he's probably playing it by the book, could blow the whistle a minute or so early. That's certainly not going to affect the result of this tie. 3 minutes of injury time now played. And Linfield 3 goals shy of a place in the second round of the Champions Cup for the 3rd time in their history. Disappointing night for the fans. A big crowd turned up to see them. Nearly all gone at this stage. And a disappointing night for the manager, who realised that this was the best chance they've had in recent years to get through to the second round. They've had some good nights, particularly 3 years ago. That's Baxter who's down hurt. Great night 3 years ago when they nearly beat Panathinaikos, 3 goals in half an hour, but that wasn't the story of this match. For the record then, Hala gave Lillestrøm the lead after 25 minutes, then Magaki equalised. Then Hallberg put Lillestrøm back in the lead, Magaki equalised again. Larsson scored to make it 3-2. And Sognes, 8 minutes from time, a goal which was signalled as offside by the linesman but ignored by the referee. But to be fair, it probably wouldn't have made any difference to the result, because even if that hadn't counted, Linfield would still have needed 2 goals which they didn't look like scoring to go through. So out they go on perhaps the most disappointing night of European football at Windsor Park in 6 years, on a night which had shown so much promise. The final score then, Linfield 2, Lillestrøm 4.
And very quiet at Windsor Park. 5-3 the final aggregate score, and out go Linfield, unfortunately. Jackie Cummings, Linfield have been hitting the goals in a big way in domestic competition. They really have been rattling them in. Can I put it to you, or can I ask you, were Linfield having an off night, or were Lillestrøm that good tonight?
Well, I think Lillestrøm were very good tonight. Linfield have been in form. They wouldn't go out tonight and suddenly be bad. Just that tonight the Norwegians were just that little bit better. They were well organised, their passing was crisp, and of course they took their goals very well too.
Well, we look at the football in just a moment. I think one of the saddest pictures we saw tonight was the missiles going onto the pitch. Now, that's the last thing in the world that Linfield Football Club, it's the last thing in the world that anybody in Northern Ireland wants in a football match. But it happened. There weren't many missiles, it has to be said, but the Blues are going to suffer, presumably because of this, because the European authorities take a pretty dim view of it, don't they?
Yes, they do. UEFA take a very, very serious view of this, and there could be a hefty fine for Linfield at least. But now they're very, very worried, especially with incidents in this part of the world. Linfield were put out of Europe before, but a more serious incident than this. But still, I'm sure they'll get a fine at least.
Well, back to the football and that business about the penalty that never was. You were at the match. Was it a penalty, in fact, when he handled either inside or just outside the box?
Well, I think it was inside the box, and even when we got a chance to look at it again on screen, it was just inside. But again, now we have to be fair to referees. They come in for a lot of stick. He was a little bit back from the play, so it's hard to see where the line is. So if it was a half a yard over, he's going to give the benefit of the doubt to the defender.
One of the highlights of the first half, Jackie, undoubtedly was Martin McGackey's goal, a superb header, and he did the same thing again in the second half. Now, the big man in this sort of form is hard to keep down, but can I put it to you again, it was a bit like the Norwegian goal in that it was a high and a long cross and cleared 2 defenders. Let's have a look in slow motion. And we see the cross coming in from the left, in fact, and I think we see the 2 Norwegian defenders doing a little bit of ball watching. He's a happy man. That's 203 so far.
Yes, well, this was the second McGahey goal, of course. Gary McCartney, the sub, lovely early cross, and there's McGahey with a free header. The players were going forward to the cross, but a marvellous header down into the corner by McGahey. He's very good at that.
But it could be said, we'll watch it again, it could be said that at this level of football, a goal like that really should never happen, should he should have been picked up.
That's right, especially with the centre half, who was a very, very good defender, and he should have been behind McGahey, but McGahey made the run very well indeed, and the early cross did the damage.
Any other players on the Linfield side that well, you thought were outstanding tonight. Alan Dornan took my eye, I must say.
Full back, Alan Dornan played very well. Even though he got a crack in the head, he had to go off, injured, to come back on again. Plenty of guts, you see. Alan likes to get forward into the action. But early on, Billy Murray and Sid Burrows did very well, but then they faded out a little bit, of course, as the Norwegians got on top. McGahey, of course, the star.
Yeah, faded out, as you say. And one got the impression the Linfield players' legs started to go a little bit when Lillestrøm hit back with that third goal. They were really rocked back on their heels just a little bit, the Norwegians coming forward.
Yes, they were. Well, now, this goal, of course, because Linfield were pressing forward, don't forget, they had to try to get a goal. And a quick header through, and Larson come running through there very quick and took the ball round George Dunlop. And again, as I say, the Linfield defence was stretched because they had to try to move forward at that stage.
Always the danger,
Here
as you
it comes.
say.
We didn't see the header through there, but there's Larson. Beats George Dunlop. Very narrow angle as well, but he got it in. Kept
He
his
did well. Well, of course, Roy Coyle presumably at half-time told his team, go for it. There's not much point in sitting back now. They had to go for it. There's always the danger, of course, that they're going to be caught stretched like that. Was there anything you think, Jackie, that Linfield could have done tonight to upset the Norwegians?
Well, at half-time, you asked me how they got the tactics wrong. It's very, very difficult, but I think that what you have to do, and Glenn Torn learned a severe lesson last night as well, I think you have to go to a team that you feel you can win against. If it was Rangers here or somebody like that, they would try to defend, hold it tight. But they have a chance of going through against Norwegian teams, Finnish teams. They have to go at them, get the early goal and kill them off, just as the Norwegians did Linfield tonight.
Well, now, even 3-2 down, there was always the chance that the Blues were going to come back because they're a team of fighters, no matter what the score is. It was a bit sad then that the final goal had a suspicious look about it.
Well, the flag went up for offside, but what we have to remember here is, was the player interfering with play? Because the winger had the ball, he didn't pass it to the player in the offside position, he passed it to himself actually, he hit it round the defender. We'll probably see it again in just a second. He keeps control of the ball, here he is. Now it's not a cross to the man offside, he runs past the full back and then he squares it across, but this time the Sugnes is behind the ball and he picked a spot. So it's again a question of interpretation of the rules. The flag went up, the linesman was quite right, signalling to the referee, but the referee has to make the decision. He's the interpreter of the rules.
Right, the linesman was right, but it was a bit sad. Perhaps the Linfield defence just caught out a bit. Maybe their concentration just detracted.
Well, at that stage, you see, it was all over anyway. They needed 3 goals or something. So.